Hi, I hope you're having a great Monday. Back here with The Friendship War. We are on chapter 8. It's called Total Geniuses. Hi, Mom, I'm home. She calls back from her office upstairs, which is more like a big closet. Hi, sweetheart. I've got a Skype meeting in about 10 minutes. Get yourself a snack, okay? Okay. I go to the kitchen, but food is the last thing on my mind. I open up the door to the laundry room, then dig around inside the broom closet until I find the sewing box that Ben and I gave Mom for Mother's Day 4 years ago. Mom doesn't sew for fun or as a hobby or anything like that, but she does have some basic sewing stuff. She used to keep it all in a couple of plastic containers from a Chinese restaurant until we got her this deluxe denim-covered sewing box. It still looks brand new. I open the lid and lift out a plastic tray loaded with spools of thread, and then, under a large pincushion and 3 packets of needles beneath a package of iron-on patches and some loops of flat elastic, way down on the very bottom of the sewing box, I find what I'm looking for: loose buttons. Ben comes into the kitchen about 15 minutes later. What's going on here? I'm recording family history. Actually, I'm pretty sure that you're taking pictures of buttons. I straighten up and wave my hand over the table. See this? Mom and Dad have been married for 19 and a half years, and these are the family's unattached buttons. The Hamlin Family Button Collection. There are 134 of them. That works out to about 7 buttons for each year they have been married. I paused to let the information sink in. Okay, I'm with you. Of course, I really wish I knew the order the buttons had been saved in, so I could make an exact timeline from the very first button, right up to the most recent one. But I don't know that, and wishing is not scientific. And I also don't know which button came from whose clothes, except for a few. See these 5 pewter buttons and the rose design? They used to be on that red and white handmade sweater Mom has, but then one got lost, so she snipped off these 5 and tossed them in with the sewing junk, then sewed 6 new matching buttons back onto her sweater. I could probably figure out what year that happened. I turned to Ben. Do you think Mom and Dad started finding more stray buttons once they had you and me? Makes sense. More people, more clothes, more buttons. He picks up a large silver button with the harp design stamped into the metal. This one is mine, for sure. I lost the button off my middle school band uniform. Mr. Cliff made me buy a new one, and Mom taught me how to sew it on myself. Then about a year later, she found a button under the cushions of the family room couch. And here it is. This gets me thinking. You know, every single button here has some kind of story. Ben squints at me. Well, yeah, but I bet a lot of these were just extra buttons that came with a pair of pants or a sweater or something. Not much of a story. I'm not giving up, but every button's story started way before any of them got to our house, onto our clothes, because all these buttons had to get designed by somebody, and then each one got made somewhere else, right? And then each one got moved around by people and then sewn onto something or dropped one by one into tiny plastic bags and stuck inside the back pocket of some new pants, right? Yeah, Ben says, except stuff like that happens to everything, like this chair, or my shoes, or that light bulb. Every single thing in the whole world has a story of how it got made and how it got to be somewhere. And a button is just one other thing. Okay, I say, but tell me this. If you stop using a light bulb, do you put it in a box in the broom closet and leave it there for 19 and a half years? No. So there's something different about buttons, right? Yes, because when you stop using a light bulb, it's probably because it doesn't work anymore. So why keep it? But a button can always do what it is made to do, unless it gets crushed or broken in half or something, which doesn't happen much. Put an old shirt button onto a different shirt, and it will still work. Exactly! Then I pause a second to get the next bit right. And that's why people hang on to buttons, even if there's no way they'll ever use them again. They don't keep them to use them. They keep them because they might use them. It feels like I've just solved a mystery. Ben nods, stroking his chin as if he had a beard. And I guess figuring out all this proves once more that we are a couple of total geniuses. I laugh and then say, except I'm the one who has 27 boxes full of buttons in my bedroom, and you don't. Which probably makes me a bit more of a total genius than you are. Interesting theory, he says, but having 27 boxes of buttons in your bedroom probably just means that you're a crackpot. You could be right. Then I remember something. Oh, could you do me a favor? Please don't tell anybody that I've got all those buttons, okay? How come? He asks. But then he quickly whispers, oh, right, the crackpot thing. Don't worry, your secret is safe with me. And if you want to tiptoe upstairs and live in Mom and Dad's attic for the rest of your life, I'm cool with that too. I cross my eyes and stick out my tongue. Then I turn back to the kitchen table and use my phone to take some more pictures of buttons. Chapter 9, Button Fever. It's Thursday and I wake up thinking about buttons. Again. How many do I actually have? Which color do I have the most of? And how many of each size do I have? Of all the buttons I have, which has the largest diameter and the smallest? Then I remember what Ben said to me yesterday in the kitchen, and I think, maybe Ben's right. Maybe I really am a crackpot. 45 minutes later, I feel even more like an oddball, because right before I leave the house to go to the bus stop, I run upstairs to my room, grab a big handful of cranberry red buttons, and toss them into my backpack. I just feel like I want to have some buttons with me at school today, which is definitely strange, but as I drop into a seat near the back of the bus, I discover that my strange condition is not unique, because in the row right in front of me, 4 boys are arguing about buttons. Are you kidding? Metal buttons are always better than plastic. Anybody knows that. And if a metal one is off some kind of uniform, that's the best. End of discussion. Okay, but what if you had a plastic one shaped like the Millennium Falcon or something? I think that'd be lots more better than some old metal button. Well, maybe, but you're never going to see that in your whole life. Another kid has his phone out. Hey, look at this! They huddle around the screen, and one of them reads aloud, Handmade Millennium Falcon button. Whoa, I'd trade any army button for that thing, any day. There's a Chewbacca button, too, and R2-D2, and Darth Vader. That's so cool! But the thing that I think is cool, not one of these guys was anywhere near my lunch table yesterday, and none of them are in Mrs. Casey's social studies class either. How come they're talking about buttons? I walk myself through it. Okay, by the end of lunchtime yesterday, let's say there were 22 kids around our table, and probably half of them were boys, and each one walked away thinking about buttons. Plus, each had 7 or 8 new buttons in his pocket. And let's say those 11 guys each mentioned buttons or showed some to 3 other guys. That would be 33 more boys. And if each of them mentioned buttons to 3 or 4 others, then just like that, we're up to 100 guys with a brand new interest in buttons. It's a decent theory, but I need to test it. Excuse me? I heard you guys were saying just now. How come you're talking about buttons? The boy with the phone turns and looks at me. Everybody's talking about them. That's all. Everybody? But what got you started talking about buttons? He stares at me. I don't know. Who cares? I care, and I'd just like you to know. And I smile at him. A different boy says, What are you, the button police or something? A kid laughs and says, Look out, it's the button squad. Another guy snarls in a deep voice, All right, you punks, up against the wall, and hand over all your buttons. They keep goofing and laughing, and some of the other boys near the back of the bus join in. So I guess it's turned into an experiment about guys showing off for each other, or maybe just showing off for me. But science keeps marching forward no matter what, and I remember something that might be useful. I reach into the bottom of my book bag, grab some buttons, and face the boys again. Hey, phone guy! The kid looks up from his screen. What? I hold out my hand. These aren't metal, but I've got some questions, and I'll give you 2 of these blood red buttons for each question you can answer. Deal? Now I've got the whole group's attention. The kid with the phone smiles. Sure. Deal. Okay, so when did you start thinking about the buttons? Yesterday in the afternoon. How come? This guy, James Kinney, he's in my art class, and he started sliding some buttons around on our table. making shapes and patterns and stuff. And then all of us started using them like little air hockey pucks, just messing around, and everybody thought they were very cool. Great, that's all I wanted to know, thanks. And I dropped 4 blood-red buttons into his outstretched hand, a very small price to pay for totally proving a theory. I stay on high alert during the rest of my ride to school. Also as I walk through the halls after we arrive, and I observe 6 more conversations about buttons. When I get to homeroom, I'm a little out of breath. I look for Ellie. She's over by the windows with Taylor, Brooke, and Diana. Hey guys, you'll never guess what happened on my bus. Wait, Ellie says, and she sticks her arm out in front of my eyes. What do you think? She has a bracelet on her wrist made of small white buttons. Brooke says, Isn't it beautiful? Taylor adds, And the buttons are all made of seashells, right? Ellie nods. They're mother of pearl, and all I did was string them like flat beads into this thin elastic cord, and now I can stretch it on and off, just like a candy charm bracelet. Here. Ellie rolls it off, lifts my left hand, and slips it onto my wrist. I hold out my arm and study the bracelet. Again, Ellie has surprised me. I can't remember her ever doing something creative like this. It looks great on you. Do you want to keep it until lunch? It's really pretty, but I think you should wear it, I say, and I hand it to her. Okay. I can see Ellie's glad I gave her bracelet back. Then Taylor says, Hey, you started to tell us something about your bus, right? Oh, that. It wasn't important. Which isn't quite true, but I'm thinking like a scientist now. At least I'm trying to, because I want to see if kids are behaving in a certain way and also why. So, should I go around talking about the particular condition that I'm analyzing? No, because that would start changing the results of my own study, which is bad science, especially if you talk about this condition with people who think already have the condition I'm observing. And these girls, they absolutely have the condition, and they've got button fever. I mean, I've got button fever too, but here's the thing. I know that I've got it. Ellie, Taylor, Brooke, and Diana, they're like those boys on the bus. They've got it, but they don't really know it. Not yet. Once the day begins, I stay close to Ellie, wherever we have class together or when I see her in the halls and at lunch. Each time she shows her bracelet to someone or each time someone notices it or asks about it, I make a detailed note. Ellie is never shy about showing off something new or special, and she has a lot of friends. By the time she steps onto her bus Thursday afternoon, I have observed 39 girls and 12 boys in grades 4, 5, and 6 who each got an up-close look of Ellie's bracelet. That's 51 kids. Of course, there's no quick way to know what those 51 kids thought about Ellie's bracelet, or whether any of those kids might have told any other kids about it. And I'm sure Ellie showed her bracelet to some additional kids when I wasn't around. Even so, I think I've got enough data to support a very simple theory. Avery Elementary School is going to see a dramatic increase in button fever, and it will probably happen soon. All right, I'll be back tomorrow with the next reading of The Friendship War. Have a great day.